AI has different uses, and there's different ways to interpret its results, and those also depend on human ability to interpret things. So let's say if you're using AI to do object detection, you draw a square around the thing, and a human can tell if a square is wrong, right? If you're looking for a car and the square is on a can, okay, like this is wrong, you understand that. We go slightly a different way if you're trying to do a bird classification algorithm. And the algorithm tries to explain its reasoning to you. So it says a robin. This bird is a robin. Why? Because it has this kind of a beak. It points out at a beak and says beak. And you kind of, as a human, understand, okay, the beak is different because different birds have different beaks, the color, etc.
John Sohrawardi, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to have a conversation with you about the human zero day. Really honored to have you here. Thank you for joining all the way from Rochester, New York.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me. Very excited to talk about what we're going to talk about.
Absolutely. So listen, John, we've been covering in the series a bunch about social engineering, human vulnerabilities, zero-day attacks. One of those zero-day attacks is deepfakes.
Hmm.
And why do I say zero-day attack? Well, maybe you can explain it better than I can, because you're also looking at it from a cybersecurity space. So why are deepfakes effectively a potential zero-day attack?
Well, they're new. We're not prepared for them. I mean, by we, a general public, I would say, and ourselves as researchers, there's lots of research suggesting that, I mean, no matter how much we do research, for a lot of times we get blindsided by deepfakes. And
Right.
honestly, these are not new. Photoshopping's been around for years, but deepfakes are not photoshopping. The quality can vary a lot, and the kinds of deepfakes I've seen recently, like oh, like we question what the real information is these days because I'm like, oh, is this compression or is this a deepfake? So yeah.
Yeah. It seems it reminds me a lot of the way that malware came about in the 2000s, and you have malware detection, which effectively looked for signatures, right, in the malware, and now the types of signatures that one may be able to find on deepfakes has such high variance that it's not so simple to detect. How did you get into the space of deepfakes?
Well, I got into space through my PhD, so about when I started. So my advisor was doing research in network traffic analysis earlier on, actually, and he did some stuff in usability of passwords and authentication. But my PhD started in 2018, and deepfakes came about in end of 2017. So the timing was great. There was a call from Knight Foundation about helping journalists detect deepfakes. And my advisor suggested, like, hey, do you think we should go for this? I'm like, this is super interesting. It might use two things that I'm very good at, understanding users and building technology. And I really wanted to go dive deeper into AI around that time. And timing aligned, and we started working on it. And since 2018, I've been working deepfake detection. Worked with journalists. We worked with intelligence analysts, which is a different but very interesting group of people. And we're also starting to work with law enforcement right now, and sort of creating this ecosystem where we're trying to sort of merge how people understand deepfakes. And we're approaching it from a user side mostly, while building technologies is also important. But there's lots of labs who do that pretty well as well. And we're trying to plug the gap of, hey, these are new technologies. how would they fit into your workflow? Do you understand what you're reading, or are you just happy because people built tech and it looks fancy?
So I think this is an awesome point to double down on this question of user experience in the context of truth seeking on potential deepfakes. Can you help me understand from your perspective, what does that entail? There's many worlds of AI models and classifiers. Most of them don't necessarily get the attention of the need for user experience like what you're saying here. So why deepfakes?
So AI has different uses, and there's different ways to interpret its results, and those also depend on human ability to interpret things. So let's say if you're using AI to do object detection, you draw a square around the thing, and a human can tell if a square is wrong, right? If you're looking for a
Yes.
car and the square is on a can, okay, like this is wrong, you understand that. We go slightly a different way if you're trying to do a bird classification algorithm. And the algorithm tries to explain its reasoning to you. So it says, a robin. This bird is a robin. Why? Because it has this kind of a beak. It points out at a beak and says, beak. And you kind of, as a human, understand, okay, the beak is different because different birds have different beaks, the color, etc. Now let's dive into things that humans don't really understand well, and deepfakes. So now traditional explanations are heat maps generally, or drawing squares over things. The first part would be drawing a square around the face and making it red and saying it's a deepfake. It's like, okay, I understand, because deepfakes mean when there's something wrong with the face, and generally deepfakes do extract the face and try to identify whether it's real or not. So that doesn't really tell much to the user. You might as well have a number, which most detectors have, like 87%, and that's what you get from a deepfake detector generally. So that doesn't really tell, like, why is it a deepfake, which is super important for all three groups we work with. For a journalist, it's a deepfake. You can write an article saying, we ran through a detector, it's 80% deepfake, and we called some people and they said, yeah, this is not real. Well, people can lie to what did the model tell you about this video that it's a deepfake, or the audio, or the picture now. And now even text people use deepfake for text as well. The term's very broad now. So the second thing you do is heat maps, as I mentioned. Now you could do, it seems like a great idea to use heat maps for deepfakes. This is a deepfake and it focuses, there's lots of red on the eyes. Okay, user who's excited about the tool, I say, oh great, I understand now, the eyes. But then you ask them, like, so what about the eyes? What do you think is wrong with it? Like, I don't know. It's the eyes. So, right. And that's where the question is, like, and also, one thing people don't really talk about, but also do talk about, is AI can be wrong very confidently. I'm AI. This is 97%. I'm 97% sure, confident this is a deepfake. It's wrong. It's a false positive, and it will also give you a really nice heat map. Like, it's the eyes again, of course. And there's research showing that people, even if people don't get biased by a number, and they do more other kind of analysis, if you provide a heat map, they might be more convinced about a wrong result from AI. And here's the problem with heat maps in this space. Like I said, we don't really understand what the model's talking about. The heat map is short. For deep learning researchers, it's great. We understand that the model's focusing on the eyes to come up with the number it's giving. But from interpretability perspective, from regular users who need to make decisions based on this, you don't really understand what's happening. At that point, we need to sort of understand what kind of information do we give users to make their decision. Yeah.
I think you're touching on such an amazingly interesting point. And I fully get your assessment as to why numbers alone are not going to cut it, obviously. But then you're saying, well, intuitively, many go for the heat map. Not only does it look cool, it actually kind of explains to you, where the fake is. But then you actually say, well, not so much. It explains to you where the AI focuses on and what led to the derivation of the number. Still doesn't explain why this is a deep fake. And obviously there's the what happens when it's claiming something with a false positive or a false negative, which is obviously also detrimental. Let's talk a little bit about interpretability. So what's there?
Well, there isn't too much in interpretability. Oh God, the word of deepfakes these days. We're trying to make progress, so we did some research on the existing deep learning methods, which is your GradCams and everything. But we're moving more towards a statistical understanding of images. What's at least trying to get to what we can do right now. And we sort of got that idea from studying intelligence analysts. In our studies, which one of our works is under review, so I won't talk too much about it. But what they suggested is like, can you tell us what's normal and what's abnormal about this? So you can use certain statistics to do that. So through statistical understanding, you say regular general images in this kind of category should have these kind of statistics. Whether you're talking about color space, whether you're talking about compression, you are talking about, I guess, movements if you go into physics. So this is what a standard is, and this is what's wrong with the current content you're looking at. And there's research labs who do biometric-based methods, like Hani Farid's lab, and Berkeley does a lot of that work, where they've done papers which analyze normal behaviors of people, which have strengths and their own weaknesses. So as long as, I guess, an intelligent person is using the tool and understands the weaknesses and strengths of each method, they could use various methods that are available in the research to sort of build a case around a video. So there's a lot of what traditional people do. If a journalist tries to do a report and analyze information, they don't use just one tool and say, oh, this is it. We talked to a person and the person said this is false and hence we publish it. No. We build a case. Same kind of approach is what we're asking to be used in deepfake detection. But also you have to be informed because, again, a lot of vendors these days just throw a lot of tools at people. Oh, this is what this tool is doing because we told you so. And here's 4 different results from AI image detector. But there's very little to explain what are the limitations, strengths, weaknesses, performance metrics of those things. So maybe not many people need to know that, but from our experience, a lot of the people we deal with do.
Right, and it sounds like you're dealing with a population and use cases which are not only critical, but they rely on the forensical approach to verifying information, and you're dealing with the most fundamental part of their job, which is the actual information for verification, right? And so it makes total sense why you need this forensical approach. And I can also understand why in other cases, as in with perhaps enterprises or organizations that are also concerned with deepfakes, why they may be okay with less explainability. In many cases, because perhaps they will know eventually pretty quickly whether they were right or wrong, right? Because this would be used more in the context of real-time communication, identity verification, and if you get attacked by a deepfake, well, you'll know in an hour when you actually meet the person and face to face, and they'll tell you. How good are we today at detecting deepfakes?
how good are we today at detecting deepfakes? That's a good question. And, well, if you look at research space and data sets, we're quite good at. You'll always see lots of papers with 99, 98. We ourselves published a paper where we did 100% accuracy on some subsets of data sets, which is great. But probably won't champion that work to be used in open world. So we still are quite weak. So even there's research showing, even though we're still very bad on out of, I guess, distribution data. And by that, I mean, if you're trained on a certain type of deepfakes or a group of certain type of deepfakes that you know about, and if you try to test it on unknown deepfakes, unknown techniques specifically, it does pretty bad. Your 100% or 98% dive bomb into 65, 68, 70% confidence levels, accuracies. And that's bad. But beyond that, sure, you could pad it with multiple techniques, and that does help a lot. Like, because the more you use, but those techniques have to be intelligently applied. You have to understand limitations of each tool and sort of try to pad it as much as you can. Like, oh, if one tool you're using is weak against certain things, you have to use another one that is strong against those specific techniques. That's one. But even then, we recently did a workshop with law enforcement with a law enforcement group when we did a hands-on study. We let them use some unnamed deepfake detection tools that are out there in the world to be used by people. And several people ran the same video through, and that tool let them select different models. They didn't really understand much about the models because there isn't much description of what they do. And if they want to learn more, they have to read a huge paper, which few people want to do. And two different groups got two different results for the same video using two different, I guess, combinations of tools. And that kind of tells you a lot about, I guess, the space right now. And I guess I'll leave it at that. We're doing a lot of good progress, and I would say vendors are trying.
No, I think that the reason I'm curious is that and by the way, I'm coming from the background of more of a forensics approach. We got to work very intimately with CNN on verifying media. It was incredible to me to see the intricate detailing that you go into when you make such an assessment. And you have simultaneously tools it's important to have these automated tools that can spit out a result quickly because, well, I think that ultimately we're going to have to embed such tools across every part of our digital interaction, whether it's in the detection part, whether it's in the authentication part. When I'm looking at the maturity of the space today, and I'm seeing quite a few making very bold claims, 99% accuracy. Even some of them claim that they'll give you insurance.
Yes.
Right? So where is that confidence coming from? Because I'm hearing you say that, yeah, these are the numbers in a constrained in-distribution environment, but in the real world, things are way different.
Well, honestly, it's not different from the world of antiviruses and malware. And malware companies know that there will be new attacks they can't detect or predict. And there's also what they sort of, I guess, how it's a little different from malware, because certain malware companies, a lot of them, use handcrafted features because there's lots more research and understanding going into that field. And deepfakes, early 2018 is when the detection started. That is not many years, especially given that we are in the age of deep learning where we just throw stuff at it and let it decide what it wants to do. where most groups are doing that. And it will mature and we will reach a place where we can give and actually give an insurance. I don't really know how the companies give insurance right now because I have thrown videos at tools that I knew were real or I knew were fake. Let's talk about the example of in America that Trump made a speech after he was announced that he won about targeting the deep state. That was a long speech, which a lot of people started saying that it's a deep fake. I have gotten people sending me like, "Hey, is this real?" Like, based on my understanding of deepfakes, I'm looking at it, it seems very real. It's like it's high quality. I don't see any weird glitches. Uh, Lots of giveaways, like the teeth look real, and if somebody made this quick, I feel like it's real. I ran it through tools. Some tools said it's fake, some tools said it's real, and I'm like, oh god. If somebody runs through this one and now it goes to Twitter and say, oh my god, this is a deep fake, like it starts a whole thing. Thankfully it didn't, or I didn't really see it that much on social media. But tools are good. For most cases, they do really well. But in those cases, also, I can just look at the video and can really tell people because we work from our lab. We collaborate with some certain organizations where we sort of provide them with our expertise. They send us videos like, "Hey, can you take a look at this and tell us what you think?" And we sort of tell them like a lot of the time, most of these videos are lip sync videos and general scams saying, "Oh, you'll get this much money back," and people still sadly fall for it, but. And Nigerian princes still probably get people to send them money through spam, and so that's not surprising.
So and what types of, you mentioned before in distribution, out of distribution, what types of deep fakes today, or what types of media today is the industry getting really good at detecting? Can we classify a use case where this is becoming, a place where real value can be derived with a low false positive rate?
I would say the lip sync cases, at least the generic lip sync videos are they're relatively easy to identify manually, but the models are also very good at that. There's very low, I guess, false positive ratio for that. For a model that's trained well, I wouldn't say all of them, but carefully well built model, well trained model is quite good at doing that. Face swaps, in certain cases it's good, but there's so many, like for each category there's so many techniques these days. It's very hard to say like that we're getting good at this category. Like for lip sync, there's wave to lip. There's a method you would know that's super popular, mostly because there's lots of there's Hugging Face, there's GitHub repository that gets you started up really fast. Even because for face swaps, you need to learn up certain things to do good work. For wave to lip, you just give it an audio, you give it a video, and you're done. A lot of the time it does good, a lot of times it does terribly, but scammers don't really care because the whole point of it is just quick and dirty attack, and you distribute it. If you get 5 people giving you money, it's a win. So
Sure.
it's really hard to say what we're getting good at, and trend-wise, I haven't seen that we're super good at this one type. Maybe a company is better suited to tell you that because they constantly collect the data. For us and research,
Sure.
I haven't seen us be good at any of the categories, I would say.
And from your perspective, a lot of people are talking about the fact that this is an arms race, right? This is like in the antivirus game, it's an arms race, and in an arms race, you have the two sides moving fast. Generally, one side is moving faster. Rarely it's in equilibrium. What's moving faster here? The generation of new, improved diverse deepfakes, or the resiliency and robustness of detecting deepfakes?
I would like to say that from research perspective, the research of detection is moving faster. At least there's more keeps coming out and addressing this or understanding people's perception of these fakes or understanding the weaknesses. And I guess the generation is there's a little less papers and generation coming out. But we're still stuck behind an understanding how people outside of the research space, the malicious adversaries, what kind of things would they be using to avoid us is what I guess the research is still struggling with. And again, that's also because there aren't that many adversaries in deepfake detection. There aren't any groups that use deepfakes to attack nation states or something. There's been pretty out there videos in the Russia-Ukraine war of Putin and Zelensky announcing things, but that was also debunked within a day. Yes, I mean, even if it was debunked within a day, there could have been lots of effects of that, of people dying in because they looked at the video and listened to it. But there are no, unlike malware, where there are known groups and there's lots of malware constantly being built, and you can sort of build an understanding of what the adversarial community uses, what kind of things they use. For deepfakes, we don't really have that yet. We have what researchers use, and we ourselves try to attack ourselves of sorts. And this is great. Like from the security of the blue teaming, red teaming thing works really well. But I guess if you look at it from that perspective, I feel like the generation's moving faster by not moving that much. Because we don't really know what to expect right now. And for 2 elections in a row, we thought deepfakes are going to play a huge part in the elections, and they really didn't. Like, there were lots of expectations, fine. There were lots of images generated of the candidates and weird things, and there was a popular video, not very popular video, of Biden talking about a magical pistachio. I don't know if you've seen the video.
Of course.
But yes. But beyond that, there wasn't really much that you could say, oh, this is a headline, oh my god, this has happened.
Yeah.
And we try to,
And when do you think we'll get there? If you think we'll get there.
if I think we'll, I mean, it's hard to say. Like, disinformation is such a complex field, and deepfakes fall under that. So it's like asking a question: do you know if you're a part of a disinformation campaign? And or do you think your narrative's been artificially changed by a nation state? And it's a hard question to answer. Like, I don't know. So similarly, maybe there are certain deepfakes that we aren't aware of that were crafted super well and built into a really good narrative, and we don't know about that yet. But from general disinformation perspective, I don't really see much that's super concerning. But that doesn't say we should stop working. We need to make sure that doesn't happen. Maybe we are doing a good enough job that it doesn't reach that point, hasn't reached that point yet.
Exactly. Well, John, I think that obviously you've been around the block in the context of deepfakes, and I love the thoughtfulness that you give to, and the respect you're giving to this space, and very curious how it will continue emerging. I'm curious how the arms race will continue. Curious about how user experience will come about within different types of groups, and we didn't even get to go into how from a user experience perspective it can work with within the context of journalism and the context of law enforcement, and I think that merits a whole separate conversation because it's a fascinating field. And I really want to thank you for your time and for being here. So thank you so much. Really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, and good luck with Clarity as well. Hope you
Thank you
guys
so much.
prevent a
Thank
lot
you.
of deepfakes.
Hopefully.